Okay, on Bally's World Cup Soccer, you have a lot of places to clean. There are 3 levels of ramps and pathways. You have your right jackpot ramp, which goes into a sub-level underneath this and feeds out into the lock mechanism. You have the ultra ramp on the left side, which either A, goes around the orbit and feeds into the right in lane, or diverts into a horseshoe and then dumps back into the second ramp. You have an orbit on the bottom that goes all the way around to a straightaway that spits out at the light free kick. You have a pathway that goes past the goalie into the left orbit. And then you have your pop bumpers, you have your in lanes, and all kinds of things going on. And it's tricky to get through, but PinSnake can handle it pretty well. I'm going to start with the right ramp. I'm just going to kind of go up. Now you have a gate right here. I like to hold the gate up. You just kind of go into that orbit a little bit, take a stick and just feed it through a little bit. I can get pretty much up to the American flag right there. I'm gonna feed it back out. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this way just by putting it, I'm going past the switch up to the diverter. Just kind of clean this area. And up the left ramp, again, there's a gate. You can hold, it's a 2-way gate, so I'm just gonna lift it up and feed it through this way. Now there's a piece of plastic here. I'm gonna kind of guide it right in there. I'm also gonna open up the diverter here and feed the snake into the alternate direction where it goes into this little horseshoe. And by that, I'm just kind of pushing gently, just to kind of like give him a little crook. Give him that. And then I can even crook him a little bit more, like this. Move the diverter and start at the top of the plastic and push it down. Starting on the left orbit with the spinner, I'm just going to start through here and clean it through. Now when you do a spinner, you can either hold the spinner flat, perpendicular to it, or you can just let it rest and bring it back. PinSnake can handle spinners pretty well. And I can get right to the center, right before I get to the in lanes. Now, there's a 1-way gate right by the in lanes there, so you don't want to go past that because then you're going to have a little trouble getting locked in there. And at the same time, it's a little hard to get to. You'd have to use a stick or something to pop it out. I'm going to clean this part, the second level of the ramp, which goes around underneath. And just feed it right through in here. And if the snake gets a little bent up, you just click them back together and fit them in there. He's hitting up against that rubber there. There's all kinds of things in this pinball machine. If you've ever taken one apart, you know it's a real pain. Okay, I'm gonna go up this ramp here now on the right side. And again, there's a gate here. So I'm just gonna kind of lift that gate. Just make it a little easier. And I'm just going as far as I can with the stick. And then I'll bring it through underneath the habit trail. Around the ball, there's a feed that goes into a straightaway from the orbit. As you can see, there's so many pathways in this. And with this, I found that it's a little easier to just get the snake in there and then use the ball to actually nudge the snake through. And I can get in there and clean pretty much as far as I want to there. I don't want to go too far because then I can come around from the other end too. Move the goalie, clean in here. The in lanes, you have plastic, you have habit trail, you have plastic, you have pop bumper caps. So getting to this is almost impossible with a regular rag. So I'm just going to feed the snake, just kind of bend him in and straighten him out wherever I can get access. There we go. I can get him actually all the way up into the in lane there. Just to pick up any debris. The other in lane, there's 2. It's buy ticket. So I'm going to feed this again. But this time I'm going to bend it through and then I'm going to crook it and get right in there. There you go. And I'm just nudging the snake in. I'm using the ball as leverage, you can see. Don't ever force your PinSnake. You know, don't pull it, don't push it. Go easy. You're cleaning the machine. You know, you're not beating it apart. There's also a little pathway from the goalie that goes through here and comes down to the left orbit. Now you can do this one of two ways. I find the easiest way is to go from the left orbit, from the spinner, put my fingers down here, and just kind of nudge him to the right. Push, push, push. And there he is. Look, came right through. I'm gonna seesaw him a little bit, watching the spinner, making sure I'm not damaging anything, just to get enough. And then I'm gonna pull him out, but I'm gonna start by holding the spinner first. And pull, 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 and there we go. Okay, there is one area of World Cup Soccer that is pretty impossible to get to. Around your orbit that comes around here, it's gonna come to a straightaway, which comes right underneath all that. It's like basement 3, and comes out near the light free kick saucer. There's a stopper here that stops the ball, but there's a pathway where the ball comes out, and there's a small little gate right here as well. So coming in through this way is tricky because you're forcing things. You can go around the ball into this pathway, which feeds into the light free kick. And I'll show you just by putting the snake down, and I'm gonna kind of crook him around the ball. I'm using the ball as leverage. You can see I'm feeding him into that back pathway. Just by using the ball, it helps immensely as leverage. And I can get the snake right to about here. That's pretty much as far as I really want to go. I don't want to get near the gate. And then I'm going to slowly pull it out and curl it back. Now, this part here and here, that's almost impossible. You have a one-way gate at the top of the lane. It's way deep in there, and that's straightaway. So getting to that part, because that part is fired by a coil. It opens up only when the machine's on, and it wants you to do the full orbit. But when it's off, it's almost impossible to get to. So I kind of just say, you know what, PinSnake can't do everything. Some games are just that deep and that complex. Even if I try and get the snake in there, it's really forcing it, and it's really not worth it for that one little section. Best thing I can do is basically take the rag on a stick and just push it through and hopefully get as much as I can. So you have a piece of plastic here that covers just the lock area, so I don't really need to use the snake here and here. It's just in here. So just very easily, I'm gonna lift up the plastic. Try not to scratch it or anything. I'm just gonna feed him down into the lock, pushing those two switches and getting to the post. I'm gonna push the post down with my thumb. Lift this plastic up a little bit, and look, I can feed him right through. And that should do it. And then I'm gonna go all the way through. You don't wanna go backwards because they're sort of like, you know, tire spikes. They only go one way. You can't go backwards, so you wanna just keep going forwards with it. The kickback down here shoots underneath the lock plastic and comes out right out here. So I'm just gonna take the snake and lay him down in the kickback lane and just kind of guide him through so he pokes his head out right there. Easy peasy. And then you just pull right out. The in lanes of World Cup Soccer are covered pretty much on both sides. You know, your kickback lane is open, you could just feed it through there, but your magnet lock over here dumps out into the in lane where there's a piece of plastic covering this, into the flipper. And on the right side, you have the coin toss that feeds here. You have the habit trail from up top that feeds here. And you have a second ramp that feeds here. So everything's coming right to this right lane. A lot of action here, and I love John Papaduke for it. So I'm going to start with the in lanes. Start on the left side. And I'm just going to come from the top, just seesaw it down, bend it in a little bit, and just seesaw in and out. Very simple. Now, on the right side, I can come in from the top here. There's a rubber post, but I feel like it's a little more open on the bottom. So I'm going to come in from the bottom, just kind of nudge it through. Yeah, it seems like it's just going really fast. Always keep the stick up, because sometimes it'll get caught under the slingshots. And just kind of feed that through a little bit. And bring it back out. Now the same thing, the out lane is covered as well from this little piece of plastic that comes from the coin toss, and you have the upper ramp coming from up top, covering the two. So I'm just gonna come and attack it from this side so I can see it a little better. Bring it down past the post. Now depending on what your difficulty posts are set on, you may have a little trouble coming from the top, you may have to come from the bottom. Anyways, kind of get in there like that, all the way down to the drain hole. Slowly pull it out. Okay, for the shooter lane, obviously dumps into this special coin toss here where there's 3 balls coming down. You can't really get in here. You can get in with a rag and a Q-tip or something just to clean that area of the optos, but it's not something that the PinSnake can handle easily. So I'm just going to go ahead and start by cleaning the shooter lane itself by putting it flat and guiding it down. And you can see he's kind of showing his head right there. Now, if you turn him to the side, like so, you can even allow it to clean underneath and start to crook up the shooter path, as long as it's flat and nice and straight down here. And there we go, he's right there. I can even nudge his head a little bit, just to kind of, you don't want to go too far, you don't want to get him stuck in there. And there we go, pull it out. The PinSnake works pretty good on World Cup Soccer. There are a lot of pathways, a lot of tight corners. I don't recommend using the PinSnake down in the goalie trough. You can reach that with your hand. Remember, use this strictly for places you can't get to. Don't go ahead and just waste your time cleaning all this stuff, because obviously it's right there. I can just do it with a rag. What do I need the snake for? But snake makes good use of things that you don't want to clean right away, or it's easy to get to, especially if you're on location. You just don't have access to the machine as much as you'd like to. And that's pretty much it for World Cup Soccer.